Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's ADAKAI TCG, and I'm coming at you with my very first Union Arena deck profile video. And so, this game is really fun. If you guys haven't tried it, I urge you guys, just pick it up, especially if you play One Piece 2. Like, it's a really good second game to kind of like buy into the sets that you like, or the IPs that you like, and then not really have FOMO for the other sets if you don't really like it. Because, for example, like, I'm a huge Hunter x Hunter fan. Not as much of a Bleach fan, but so I just bought the Hunter x Hunter box, got us 3 starters, and just man, it's been so fun just to play into it, and I love the I guess the flavor designs for each color / each archetype, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that too, but. Yeah, so I'm playing Hunter x Hunter. I love these Hunter cards. Look at them. It's like so nostalgic to see a Hunter card like this. Definitely going to make some custom action points too, so be on the lookout for that. But I made a blue Hunter x Hunter deck. I know I've been watching videos, doing research, and people tend to put blue in a very low tier for Hunter x Hunter, but I do think this deck has legs. Like, I do think maybe I can arguably say, like, of course it's not as top tier as Purple Bleach or even Green Kurapika for Hunter x Hunter, but I do think it's like a solid 1.5, and it's not as hard to get the engine going and it's not as luck dependent. There is some luck to it, right? Because you still have to draw into your pieces, but let's talk about this deck though. And so, if you guys watch Hunter x Hunter, this deck is focused around the Greed Island arc, which is one of my favorite arcs. And going to Kilwa, they're my boys, dude. Their friendship is like, it reminds me of me and my best friend. Like, I'm more like going, my best friend is more like Kilwa, and so their dynamic I always have a soft spot for it because it's just good times. And so playing the boys is what it's about for me. And in that arc specifically, they're looking for these cards to fulfill something called a specified slot in their like card book, right? And so for each one they collect, they get closer to finishing the game in the series. And you're doing the same thing with this deck, right? So for each, you have these cards, and the cards are the actual like same cards as the ones they're collecting in the series, but they're called like specified slots. And so you get to collect these cards called specified slots to buff up your characters like Gon and Kilwa and Bisy. And then you can also use those specified slots as strong events or cards to play out. And they'll give you some sort of effects. And so just like in the series, you do sacrifice using that card, but it'll give you a toolkit of abilities that you can use when you need them. And so really cool flavoring, and this deck has a ton of draw power, which I love decks that have a lot of draw power, because obviously the more cards, the more options you have. And so that's where it kind of mitigates the RNG aspect of it, right? Like, because you're still drawing and cycling through your deck so much with this. And so yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. We'll talk about the zero cost first. And so we are running 4 copies of the zero cost Kilwa. He's just a vanilla zero cost, 1 action point, no effect, but he does have a trigger that says add this card to your hand if you get him from your life. And he has 1,500 BP, and he does 1 energy generation. It's a very typical zero cost card. Our next one is a zero cost Golden Freaks. Zero cost, 1 action point. When played, you get to draw a card and then place 1 card from your hand to your sideline. And so it's like a draw 1, mill 1. Or not, draw 1, trash 1. Sorry, not mill 1. And then he does have a trigger that says draw a card. So he does get you digging deeper into your deck no matter where you see him from, whether you play him out or get him from life. And he has 1,500 BP and 1 energy generation. Our last zero cost is the zero cost Bisy. This card is also fantastic. She's zero cost, 1 action, and she has an activate main. You can switch this card to resting, sideline this character to add 1 specified slot affinity card from your sideline to your hand. So she can grab back one of those specified slot cards that you used earlier if you needed to in a pinch. back to your hand, and then you're able to just continue and proceed with that specified slot now back into your hand. And so, which is very important, especially in the mid to late game after we've used some of the cards to mitigate some of your opponent's board. It's really important to grab that back and hit the required number of specified slot cards to buff up our characters. And so those are the 0 cost. We're only running 10. And the reason why is because the ratios in this deck have to be very meticulous because we need to see so many different cards, right? And so with that being said, let's go to our 1 cost. We only run 4 1 costs, which is the 1 cost Going Freaks. But this card is so good. It's a 1 cost, 1 action point. But when attacking, you can reveal any number of cards in your hands with a specified slot tag or / affinity. And for each unique one you have in your hand and on the field, if you hit the threshold of 4 or more, you can give one of your other characters, or give a character, impact +1. And so what that means is if they already have impact, they'll get impact 2. So if a card can swing in and they block, you're dealing 2 damage now with that. If the block doesn't go, completely negate the attack. But if it doesn't have any impact, you're just going to give it 1 standard impact. And so really good card, especially in the late game when we have our engine set up. That's going to help us to really push for game with the boss monsters that we play. And we're not playing too many boss monsters this deck, and they're all pretty low to the ground. And so we'll talk about that too. But yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it though. So next we're running a couple of 2 costs, actually 4 2 costs to be exact. The 2 cost Kilwa. So he's a 2 cost, 1 action. And he has when attacking, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. So this is another way we can keep going through our deck to start fishing out some more cards. And he does have a trigger. He's taking up the 4 color slots that we have for trigger. But it's basically you can choose 1 character with 3,500 BP or less on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand. And so this guy, if you get him out of life, will bounce back one of your opponent's characters, which is great. We are running 3 copies of Going Freaks. I do want to push this to 4 if I can because it's actually such a good card. But we're running 3 for now to see how it feels. But because I'm not sure where to make the adjustments in the ratios. Maybe well, anyway, we're running 3. So he's a 3 cost, 1 action point. When played, you get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal 1 specified slot affinity card among them, and add it to your hand, and place the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. And so, 1, you're digging 7 cards into your deck, which is a really deep search. I'm not used to that. I'm coming from One Piece. I'm used to 3 to 5, right? But going 7 is really good in a 50-card deck. And so you're digging 7 cards to gain a specified slot card, and then you're reordering it in the bottom in any order. And so it does matter in this deck because once you start seeing 2 of these, those bottom cards you're gonna see again, no matter what, because just how much draw power this deck has. And so so definitely order the cards correctly once you re-put in the bottom. But yeah, we're running it at 3 of these guys for now. I'm gonna try to find some time to adjust and make maybe 4 of. But again, this deck is so tight, and you need to see so many things. It's really hard to trim things elsewhere, if that makes sense. And so, with that being said, we are running our one and only raid card that we have in this deck is the Kilwa. He's a 4 cost, 1 action point, and when raiding, so when you attack once per turn, you can again, similar to the 1 cost go, and reveal the specified slot cards from your hand. And basically, if you have a combined 4 unique specified slots between your hand and your field, if you have 2 or more, you get to draw a card when attacking. If you have 4 or more, this guy gets double damage, or damage +2. or damage 2. Yeah, damage 2. So basically, he'll hit for 2 life. And so, really, really strong card, right? Because once you hit that threshold, he's going to constantly draw you every time you attack, and he's going to have to be blocked by your opponent, or they're going to take 2 life, right? And so, no one wants to take 2 life. And in the later game, right, they have to end up choosing now, right? Because if you go in Freaks and you attack and then give Kilwa impact, now they're either losing 2 life or losing a character on the board and losing 1 life, right? And so once you get this engine set up, it's like super strong. We are running 4 copies of Gon. He's a 4-cost, 1 action point. And this is the other powerhouse card of the deck. So he has an activate main, so it's not even when attacking. So as long as it's on the front line once per turn, you again can reveal the specified slot cards in your hands and on the field. If you have 3 or more, you get to draw a card, right? So already, if you have 3 and this guy's on the board, you're drawing every turn. And then 4 or more means he gets impact 1, right? And so the Gon can work with this Gon too. If he gives this Gon impact +1, this guy has impact 2 now. So if they block the attack, they will lose 2 life, right? And so very, very good. Very decent card. You need to run it to 4 of. It's and he's a 4K power as well, and so really strong cards, guys. We're running 3 copies of the 4-drop Bisy. I also really do like this card. She is 2 action though, so it's quite expensive, but I really like her effects. So when played, you can reveal unique specified slot cards in your hand, and for each one you have that's unique from your hand and on your field, you get to add 1k power and then sideline a character with equal to or less than power than that, right? And so say you have 4 unique specified cards, she's gonna pop a 4,000 power card. If you have 5 unique specified slots, you're gonna pop a 5,000 power card. And so really good removal, especially because, and the reason why we need to run her as well is because we need some more removal in this deck, because we're sharing our special slot with an affinity card or a specified slot card, and so we don't have as much removal with our event as we would like. And so having this as an option to drop, just to pop one of those annoying, maybe rated cards or annoying effect cards, is really, really good. And plus you can hit Kurapika in this deck if we have the 5 unique specified slots. So next is one of the most important cards in the deck that you need to get early. It's Strip of Beach. It's 3 cost, 1 action. This card allows you to have 15 cards into your hand now, right? So this is a deck that we're constantly drawing, and we want to hold on to our cards, right? We don't want to use some of these specified slots early, because we need them to buff up our Gon, our Kilwa, hit higher with Bisy. And so having this card will, one, allow us to keep and hold on to those cards instead of discarding at the end once we hit past 8 cards. But also when played, it draws us a card. So it replaces itself, digs deeper, helps us find more of our specified slots. It is a specified slot card, so once it's on the field, you already hit a threshold of 1, which is great. And it has 2 energy generation and a trigger that says add this card to your hand. And so very, very good card. And if you notice, our characters, our highest character is a 4-cost character. And so you only ever need really 4 energy. We only run 1 card with a 5 energy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, 4 energy does the trick for this deck. Unless you want to play one specified slot card, we'll talk about in the future. But yeah, we're running 3 copies of Paladins Necklace. I used to run this at a 2, but after playing certain matchups, I do like using this card's effect. And so that's why I'm running at a 3 of. It's a 2-cost 1 action point, and it reads: choose one rated card on your field or your opponent's field and place its top rated card into the owner's sideline. Draw a card. So it draws you a card and gets rid of a rated card, right? And so this is just another way we can get rid of like those really big bodies that we can't deal with. And so, yeah, maybe we just, yeah, and it also draws us a card too, right? And so, specifically against like Karapika or that green bleach deck, the captain guy, that a little bit annoying to remove. You can just play this, get rid of the top rated card, and now it just becomes like a regular character card. And it does have an active that says choose one of your characters on your field, switches to active, and it gains 3,000 BP until the end of the turn. And so a lot of defensive cards like that, and so that's pretty nice. We're running 2 copies of Risky Dice. It's another specified slot card, so this is our 3rd one that we're going through so far. And this card is a 3-cost 1 action point. You can play it as active, and it has an activate main, switch to resting. You choose a character first, and then you kind of gamble. Like in the game or in the show, right? The Risky Dice is so you can hurt yourself too, right? And so you reveal the top card of your deck, and then if it has a cost of 2 or more energy, you can add it to your hand, and then give the chosen character 1,000 BP for the turn. And if it's less than that, the character gets sidelined. And so you're risking your character for it, but again, this is another way you can buff up your character at the end, or just dig deeper into your deck, right? And so, very, very good card. I played it a few times, but most of the time you're probably going to keep it in your hand, let's be real. This is unless you're feeling like taking the gamble. We're running 2 copies of Termon. This is another specified slot card. So this is our 4th unique one. It has an activate main. You can switch it to resting. Place the top card of your deck face down under this character. And look at when this card is sidelined, you can look at the card under the character and add one of the cards to your hand and place the remaining into your sideline. And so it's another way to draw into your deck, right? Because once this is out, you activate its main, to start putting cards under there. Once it's in the front line and you block with it or get sidelined or KO'd for some reason, all the cards underneath it, you get to look at it and then draw one, right? And so that's very important. You can draw into your last specified slot if you needed it, but you're also using a specified slot too. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But that's why we're running 2 of it, just in case. We're running 2 copies of Angel's Breath. So this is the only 5-cost card that we're running, and it's very situational. But this does take up 2 of our special slots for a good reason, though. And you can only have 3 copies of this card in your deck. But it reads: play 1 character with fulfilled energy requirements and 1 AP cost. So the only card we can't bring back is Bisy, as long as we can get energy for everyone else. And you can play it from your sideline onto your field, rested, or perform raid with it, right? And so this is why we're running a lot of Kilwas, because this is a way that we can get a Kilwa raid from our grave back into play. And then if we had the specified slots requirements, that can swing for double damage, which could oftentimes close out the game. And so very strong card. We're running it a 2 of. The reason why we're not running it a 3 of is because of this other strong card that we're running. It's called Tajankin. It's a 4-cost 1 action point, and you get to choose 1 character with a 3,000 BP or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it. But if you have a Golden Freaks on your field, you can do a 5,000 or less instead. And so basically you are KOing anything in the game so far. Very strong card. And then it has a trigger that says choose 1 of your opponent's characters and sideline it. Angel's Breath also has that trigger effect. And so very good. And last but not least, we're running 4 copies of Bisy's Training. It's the 3-cost 1 action point. This is the one that's like Bankai for Bleach, where you choose up to 2 of your AP cards and switch them to active. And so, and then it has a trigger that says if you have 0 life, place the top card of your deck into your life area. So that Anel effect sort of thing going on, or the 0 cost yellow event. And so, yeah, this is the deck list. Really, really fun to play. You're like playing the early game, just drawing through, trying to collect your pieces. And then once your deck ramps up and you start like having guns and Kilwas on the board, it gets really hard for your opponent to deal with. The Angel's Breath can also bring back a gun. And then the cool thing is the turn you play out gun 2, you can activate his main as long as you hit the threshold of 3 unique specified slots, which is not as hard as you would think, right? Because 2, 4, 7, 10, 12 of the cards are specified slots in this deck. We draw 7 to begin with, and then we're constantly drawing with like this gun, this Kilwa, and so and then this gun eventually, and this Kilwa eventually, and so you are seeing going through so much of your deck, and then the specified slots themselves are also quite strong as far as the effects go, and so yeah, being able to just utilize them when you need to kind of gives you that toolkit. And so I think this deck rewards you, obviously, like in most matchups too. If you know more of your opponent's cards, you'll know what toolkits you're looking for and which multiples you'd want, right? So sometimes you'd want to grab 2 copies of Paladins Necklace because you know you're going to want to use one for a rated character that's going to be annoying in the future. Or maybe otherwise you might want to grab 2 Angel's Breath because your opponent has a lot of removal and you want to bring back a Gon or a Kilwa in the future that you need. And so there's just a lot of different like tech choices and decision points throughout the gameplay that you can be making. And it just feels so rewarding. But yeah, I love the flavor of this deck. I do think it's strong. I don't think it's like low tier by any means, but I do think it takes just a little bit of luck and obviously some good game knowledge, I think, to really skyrocket with this deck. But let me know what you guys think. I will be doing some more One Piece content later this week. I have some more deck profile videos there, but just wanted to give a shout out to that. Yeah, with that being said, ADAKAI TCG out.